Hello, everyone. Welcome back to the Visibility Factor podcast. This is Sue Barber, your host. I'm really excited to share this concept with you today that I have been using for a while. One of my coaches taught it to me originally, and it was really helpful to me at the time when I was starting my business and trying to figure everything out. But I have since used it for a lot of my clients in corporate, and it has worked for them as well. So I thought, why not share it with you? So, in certain situations, you might feel a little less confident, like you've made a mistake, that you don't know if it's the place for you to be anymore. You're considering whether or not you want to stay at the company that you're at or in the position that you're in. And you might go into a place of doubt, which causes you to play smaller. You might choose things that are safer. You might not take risks all the time. You might not speak up when you should be speaking up. And so that is not a good place for people to see you in a visible way. And so this concept that can be helpful for you is the concept of making the work that you're doing, the place that you're working, a playground. And when you think of a playground, right, it's very freeing, it's empowering. You can go choose whatever you want to do at the playground. It's filled with joy and laughter and fun. And when I introduce this concept, the reason I'm doing it is to reframe the experience that people are having. Because if you are in a place where you're not feeling confident and you're feeling low and you just don't know if it's the place for you anymore, of course, you're feeling demotivated, disengaged, not even sure you want to be there anymore. But concept of a playground helps you start to think about it, new possibilities, helps you look at it differently. And that's what we're going for, is to just kind of disrupt the pattern that you're in and move to something else. So I have a client now who is in a decent company, right? Pretty good company by all accounts. It's just not the work that they really want to do anymore. And they want to do something much bigger, but they're just not finding a way to do that. Even though they've asked for more, even though they've tried to do new things, it just doesn't seem to be working. And so what we did was introduce this concept of the playground where you can be bolder. You can try things that you've never tried before and experiment with them and see how they work. You can say things and speak up more because at this point you are considering whether or not you're going to stay anyway. So it gives you a chance to take more risks and try things and let people see another side of your leadership that you may not have shown before. I have another person that I worked with in the past who struggled in his role. He was trying to go to the next level and he just wasn't able to get there. He wasn't feeling like he was getting support from his manager. He felt that they had lost faith in him, that he had lost his credibility, and he wasn't sure if this was the company he wanted to stay at anymore. And so he had started interviewing. And I said, while you're there, you already know the people, you already know the players, you already know the things that you're doing. Let's make that your playground where you try things out because you need to be able to do the things that they want you to do just as much at your next company. And so maybe the one you're at isn't a fit, but the next one, you may go through the same exact pattern again and then struggle at that company. So we did some things to think about, how does he want to show up? What does he want to do differently? How does he want to be seen? And one of his words was bold. And so I said, if you want to be bolder, what does that mean to you? What does that look like for you? And how can you do it in a way that's more like a playground, that's more fun for you, that's experimenting with things you haven't really done before? It's speaking up and challenging where you may not have done that in the past. And so he really loved the concept and started to do that. And what happened is then when he was able to move to the next company, he went in from a much bolder place. He felt confident then. He'd already worked through some of those challenges at the previous company. And now in this company, he could walk in a bold way to embrace this new role, step into it in a bigger way, and show his leadership to the people who didn't know him yet and leave all that old baggage behind, if you will, and start clean. And what happened for him was really amazing because all of the people at even the senior levels in the organization saw just what a great hire they had made. And they were excited for his next steps and how he was going to continue to grow in his role and the next ones. So, this is the power of reframing, looking at something from a different perspective, but in a fun way. Like a playground isn't something that everybody thinks about for corporate world. And I think it can be so helpful because it shifts your mindset into a much more positive place, into a place of just trying things out, see how they work. It's imperfect action. There's nothing that you can do that isn't going to serve you to learn from it, to show yourself that you can do more and to just try it. And if it works, great. And if not, come up with something else. It's like at the playground. You may like the merry-go-round. You may like the slide. You may just want to go play in the sand. But you get to choose what that looks like for you and try something. And if it doesn't work, you go to the next thing. So the next time you might be having doubts or low confidence or feeling disengaged or that you're just not sure if this is the right place for you, create a playground concept for yourself. What is it that you could do that's different, that's bolder, that takes you out of your comfort zone that you could experiment with and try? And there are tons of different ideas in the Visibility Factor book, chapter 6. And that will give you some ideas. If you have the book, go just explore in there and pick out something to try. But most of the time, it's really a mindset shift more than anything else, because if we don't shift your mindset to see that this is a positive, fun experience, then you'll just go back and sabotage yourself and go back to the way that you were. But we're trying to help you play bigger. And in order to do that, we have to shift your mindset first. So think of the world that you're in as a playground. What does that playground look like for you? What does that mean you could try? So come up with a list of 3 to 5 things, actions you could take, ways that you could speak up, things that you could do that maybe other people are doing that you could adapt to your style. You could even get involved in some kind of group or something that you've never done before. Just something to show another side of you to people who haven't seen you in the best way. It also helps you just bloom with confidence. I don't know how else to say it, but it's this fun aspect of it, I think, that is most exciting about this concept, because who doesn't want to have fun at work? Who doesn't want to be in a joyous place? Instead of being in a place that they're demotivated and unhappy, just feeling like there's no hope for them. I want people to feel hope and excitement for their jobs, but let's just play in the space where you already know the playground, so to speak. You already know the environment you're working in. You know who you can trust, you know who you can't trust, you know the work that you're doing. It frees you up to try something else that you've never done before and show something different, which in turn shows something different to you, that you can do this, that you can play bigger, that you don't need to be small anymore, that people actually want to hear your voice. And I think sometimes we tell ourselves a story that what we have to say isn't important, it's not valuable, the work we're doing isn't valuable. It's valuable if you make it valuable, right? You have to explain to people why the work you're doing matters, why it's important, how it's making an impact. And that comes through you talking about it and being bold enough to stand up for what you believe in, the conviction that you have that what you're doing matters. If there's an issue, being able to stand up for your team or yourself and maybe have a different conversation about how to do something different that makes it better. These are all opportunities for you to play. So I hope this helps you understand the concept of the playground, to help you find ways to come up with actions. But you have to really think about for yourself, what does this playground look like? How do you want it to be? Who do you want to be on the playground? And what do you want to show other people? And then just start trying stuff and pay attention. How does it feel for you? How are you getting interactions with other people? Are they coming up and talking to you? Are they sending you messages, inviting you to new meetings? Is it working? Because we have to measure whether or not it's working. And if it's not, you just choose something else. There is no need to hold on and do something if it's not serving you and helping you. Find something that really starts to work for you and then keep doing it. And then maybe you introduce something else, because at the end of the day, you get to make all the decisions for your career. And that might mean if you introduce this playground concept, you start feeling better about where you are. People start thinking about you differently, and it might open up opportunities where you don't have to leave. Leaving is an option, but it doesn't mean it's the only one. So at least explore what a playground could look like for you, and maybe you can stay at your company and progress in the way that you want to. I hope this was helpful. I hope it gave you some new ideas, new ways to think about what a playground concept could look like for you. If you know someone else that you think would benefit, please share this episode with them. I would really appreciate it. And if you haven't left a review, I would really appreciate it if you did that. You can go on your phone and go to Apple Podcasts, There's a place on there to do reviews. You can't do it on a laptop, but if you go down on the Visibility Factor page, halfway down, you'll see a place to leave a review. The more people we get reviews from, the more people who will start to find the show. So thank you so much for being a listener. Thank you for watching if you're watching the YouTube video. And just thank you for being a part of this visibility community. Thanks so much for joining today on the Visibility Factor podcast, and we'll catch you on the next one.